There is a narrow stretch of water in East Asia where military aircraft cross invisible lines almost daily. A place where global supply chains, national identity, and great power rivalry converge. If a conflict were to erupt there, it would not remain regional. It would ripple across the entire world. That place is Taiwan. Welcome to Rook. Today, we examine why Taiwan is often described as the most dangerous flashpoint in global geopolitics, and why a crisis there could escalate far beyond the region. Because this isn't just a territorial dispute. It's a strategic crossroads of the 21st century. The Taiwan issue dates back to 1949, when the Chinese Civil War ended with two separate governments emerging on opposite sides of the Taiwan Strait. Since then, Taiwan has developed its own political system, economy, and democratic institutions. Meanwhile, the government in China has consistently maintained that Taiwan is part of its sovereign territory and that reunification remains a long-term objective. For decades, the status quo has been maintained through a delicate balance of deterrence and ambiguity. Taiwan does not formally declare independence. China does not use force. The tension remains unresolved, but contained. That balance, however, is under increasing strain. Taiwan's significance goes far beyond politics. Geographically, it sits along the so-called First Island Chain, a strategic arc stretching from Japan through the Philippines. Control over this region influences access to key maritime routes in the Indo-Pacific. For the United States and its regional allies, stability in the Taiwan Strait is central to maintaining strategic balance in Asia. For China, Taiwan represents both national unity and long-term security considerations. But there is another layer to Taiwan's importance, one that directly affects the global economy. Semiconductors. Taiwan is home to Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the world's leading producer of advanced microchips. These chips power smartphones, data centers, artificial intelligence systems, advanced military equipment. A disruption in Taiwan's semiconductor industry would impact industries worldwide almost immediately. In today's economy, semiconductors are foundational infrastructure. And Taiwan sits at the center of that supply chain. But the danger surrounding Taiwan isn't only about economics or history. It's about what happens when two major powers see the same territory as central to their future. And when neither can afford to back down. In recent years, military activity around Taiwan has intensified. China has expanded naval capabilities, increased air patrols near the island, and conducted large-scale exercises in surrounding waters. Taiwan has strengthened its defense posture. The United States has increased regional presence and deepened security coordination with partners such as Japan. The risk lies not necessarily in intentional conflict, but in miscalculation. In crowded airspace and contested waters, even a minor incident could escalate. History shows that great power conflicts often begin not with deliberate plans for war, but with spiraling reactions to limited events. Taiwan presents exactly that kind of environment. The United States operates under a policy commonly referred to as strategic ambiguity. Under the Taiwan Relations Act, the U.S. provides defensive support to Taiwan, but does not explicitly state whether it would intervene militarily in the event of an invasion. This ambiguity is designed to deter both sides, discouraging unilateral moves toward independence while also discouraging the use of force. However, ambiguity can also create uncertainty. If a crisis occurs, rapid decisions would be required. And decisions made under pressure can carry global consequences. The stakes are amplified by alliance structures. Any conflict involving Taiwan could draw in regional powers, potentially expanding the scope far beyond the Taiwan Strait. A conflict over Taiwan would not resemble isolated regional wars of the past. The Taiwan Strait is one of the busiest shipping corridors in the world. Major trade flows pass through surrounding waters. Energy shipments to key Asian economies transit nearby routes. Financial markets are deeply intertwined with regional stability. Even the perception of imminent conflict could trigger market volatility, supply chain disruptions, energy price spikes. If semiconductor production were halted, industries ranging from automotive manufacturing to cloud computing would feel immediate effects. The economic consequences would not be limited to Asia. They would be global. Another reason Taiwan is so sensitive is domestic politics. In China, reunification is often framed as a historic objective tied to national rejuvenation. In Taiwan, public opinion has evolved over decades, with many identifying strongly with the island's distinct political system. In the United States, bipartisan consensus increasingly views stability in the Taiwan Strait as strategically vital. When issues become linked to identity and national prestige, flexibility narrows. Leaders face internal pressure not to appear weak. And when prestige is involved, compromise becomes harder. The reason Taiwan could trigger a broader conflict lies in overlapping commitments. If China uses force, regional allies may respond. If the United States intervenes, it risks direct confrontation between major powers. If neither side backs down, escalation pathways multiply. Cyber operations, naval blockades, sanctions, extended regional clashes. Modern conflict is not limited to a single battlefield. It spreads across economic, digital, and diplomatic domains simultaneously. Taiwan sits at the intersection of all three. None of this means war is inevitable. Deterrence remains strong. Economic interdependence remains deep. The costs of open conflict would be extraordinary for all parties involved. But Taiwan represents a rare convergence: strategic geography, technological centrality, national identity, great power rivalry. When these elements align, the margin for error narrows. The next global war, if it were ever to emerge, would likely begin not with a dramatic declaration, but with a breakdown of deterrence at a critical crossroads. And today, few crossroads are more consequential than Taiwan, because understanding where tensions concentrate is the first step in understanding where history might turn next. If you found this analysis valuable, consider subscribing. The future is often shaped in the places where power converges quietly, before the world fully notices.